Hi, welcome to the video, and if you're a return viewer, welcome back. You know the usual drill, like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see here. I'm Kerry, and this is the Christchurch Review of Books YouTube channel. Today, just a quick video on this book, Can I Have My Ball Back by Richard Herring. Now Richard Herring is a UK based comedian. I think he was a stand-up comedian, and he became more of a writer and creative force behind the scenes these days. I do remember him in some type of sketch program back in the 90s that screened here in New Zealand. I have a vague memory of it. I'm not sure what it was. I think it might have been one of the ones on the channel back then on TV4, which used to show a lot of what at the time was called alternate comedy, which is pretty much mainstream now. Anyway, since those days he's become quite a well-renowned writer, and he was a pioneer in the UK podcasting scene. His podcast Rehelistip, which stands for Richard Herring's Leicester Street Theatre Podcast, I believe it is, or Leicester Square Podcast. He's been interviewing other comedians, other writers, other creative people for over a decade now, and he's done hundreds of podcasts, and he's worth a listen. He's really interesting interviewer, and he part of his shtick, as you might call it, is asking the unaskable question, or you're talking about the untalkaboutable things. So he's very entertaining, very self-deprecating, of course, but he is a bit of an acquired taste. You may not enjoy him on first listen. Anyway, as fans of his podcast may remember, he did make a lot of mention a couple of years ago about his brush with cancer. Turns out he had testicular cancer. He mentioned that quite a few times. He went on other people's shows to talk about it, and since then he has produced this book, Can I Have My Ball Back, Please? Now, it details his experiences with cancer in the COVID lockdowns of 2021. He discovered he had a swollen testicle, contacted a GP. GP said probably nothing, could be just an infection. But luckily for him, he was sent for a ultrasound scan, and they discovered an object in his testicle which was of concern. They reviewed the data and discovered that it is most likely cancer. This led to a lot of soul searching and worry on Herring's part, and that's what makes up a lot of this book. It's kind of introspective. What does it mean to a man? His testicles, if he's about to lose one because of cancer. A lot about masculinity, the role of men in modern society, that type of thing. And it is very entertaining. He's a funny guy. He has a lot of running gags and callbacks and all that type of thing. We follow him through the treatment. He does indeed have one of his testicles removed. We follow him right through the process and his recovery. He's not one to let a good story go to waste. He'll tell you all about what happened and all the humour he found in it. A lot of gallows humour type thing going on. And in between his story, there are like these little breakout boxes in between the main text, which he looks at the science, history, culture of the testicle in our society, from the ancient Greeks through to popular culture and slang for testicles and how they're portrayed in the movies or whatever. It's a lot of interesting material. It's probably a little too much of that type of stuff padding out this book, to be honest. While it's interesting, it did get in the way of the main narrative, I felt. So he ends up losing his testicle, and we read about all his feelings about that, and he makes a slow recovery, and he's told he has to go for at least one round of chemotherapy. So we follow him through that, and as his recovery, he wants to raise money for a cancer charity, so he runs a marathon, and we follow him through to all that. And seems like things are all going well through him. He has another scare towards the end, but he signs off with an optimistic note. So that is Can I Have My Ball Back, Please by Richard Herring. Very entertaining, talking about men's health, health indeed. He's lots of praise for the UK National Health Service. individual doctors, nurses, all that type of thing. He makes them the heroes. He puts himself more in a observer type mode. He's not going to claim to be some type of brave survivor. So that is the most interesting and entertaining book, Can I Have My Ball Back Please, by Richard Herring. Thank you. We'll see you again soon.